What is the difference between legal custody and physical custody? Hi, I'm Alicia Kinchel, the owner of Kinchel Law, a family law practice based out of the Philadelphia area. Now, I've gotten a lot of questions over the years asking me to explain the difference between legal custody and physical custody. So, we're going to talk about that today. As always, you want to make sure you consult with an attorney licensed in your area about the facts specific to your case. But what I'm also going to do here today is link in the show notes to the statute to make sure that you have the same information that I'm talking about today. And if you want to, you can dig a little deeper. All right, so shared custody is something we kind of think about, but there's again two different types of custody. There's legal custody, physical custody. And legal custody is the right to make major decisions about the child. So that includes medical, education, religion, and so forth, okay? And it does not necessarily matter how much physical custody you have of the child. You can have shared legal custody. So, again, both parties having the right to make decisions about the child, with one party having primary physical custody and the other party having partial physical custody. Now, sometimes when people come to me, they say, "Hey, Alicia, I want to get primary physical custody because I want to move my child out of state. And I figure that if I have primary physical custody, then I have the right to do that." Or they look to get sole physical custody, which is total physical custody over the child or children, and believe that that gives them the right to make all decisions, and it doesn't. Now, because a person with primary physical custody will have the child the majority of the time, they will be making a lot more of the day-to-day decisions that don't require a whole lot of input. Small things like, what is the child going to have for dinner today? Things like that are not things that we typically need to consult with the other parent about unless there's a big issue regarding diet or nutrition or something like that. The person who's with them is going to be able to make those types of day-to-day decisions. When it comes to relocating or choosing a school or enrolling children in extracurricular activities, a lot of those things are absolutely the types of things that need to be consulted with the other parent. Um, and again, that's legal custody. Now, on the flip side, physical custody is the actual control of the child. So having the child in your presence. And so, again, I'm going to link in the show notes to the different types of physical custody. But typically, where there's several different types. There's sole physical custody, where a person has complete physical custody and the other party has no physical custody of the child. There is primary physical custody, which usually we see in tandem with some form of partial physical custody. And that means that one person has the majority of the time, the other person or party has less than that. So less than half of the time. And partial physical custody can be regular partial physical custody. It can be 2 or 3 days a week. It can be every other weekend. It could be a few hours. That is all partial custody. It comes in a variety of forms. And most custodial schedules can be made up in a variety of different ways too. It can be as creative as the parties and the judges. Now, when it comes to partial custody, there's also supervised custody. And sometimes we call this visitation, but it actually is a form of partial physical custody. And that means that the person who's exercising that time with the child is supervised by another adult or an agency. And that could be for a variety of reasons. It can be by agreement of the parties. There could be a safety issue regarding the child or the adult that is supposed to have that partial physical custodial time. That adult, for example, may be at risk. Maybe they have some type of severe mental health disorder where the child does not need to be out of the parent's life, but there are definitely risk issues or safety issues. And supervision can kind of help deal with those things. So again, there's a variety of reasons why a court may appoint an agency to supervise physical custody, or the parties may agree to it, or why it's necessary. But that is a form of physical custody. Now, there's also shared custody. Now, shared custody is basically the parties splitting custody somewhat evenly between the two of them. And again, the schedules can be very creative. It can be a week on, week off. I've seen 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I've had clients who've done 1 month on, 1 month off when a child was younger. So it's just as creative as the parties can be and what works in the best interest for the child when a judge is ordering it. But that is the other type of custody. So sometimes people will say, I want full custody, or So when we say I just want visitation, it's helpful to understand the language that the courts use and that the statutes use, because it can help the other person to understand exactly what it is that you're asking for. Sometimes people will say full custody, and in some people's mind, that might mean primary custody, where you just have majority of the custody, which they might be okay with. Or in their head, it could be sole physical custody, which means that they have no time. So it's important to understand exactly what the language is that we're using, that the courts are going to use when they make decisions or awards in your case. All right, I hope this clarify a little bit the difference between legal custody and physical custody. Make sure that you leave me comments below if you still have questions about the different types of custody, or if there's something that you would like me to go a little bit more in depth with when it comes to the different types of custody. I'm going to also try to link to a previous video I did that talked a little bit more about the types of custody and then some of the custodial factors that the courts will look at when deciding whether or how to award physical custody in a case. Okay, now make sure you hit subscribe, hit the little notification button, so whenever we drop a new video, because we're dropping one every day of 2021, on custody or support or divorce, and you'll get a little notification every time we drop a new video, so you won't miss anything. All right, until next time, take care.